Public discussion. Willie, you got nothing for public discussion. Seeing no one here, we will go to a decision to approve the agenda and minutes dated January 10th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Matt, second by Stecker. Any discussion on anything? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Everybody had a chance to go through the claims?
Yes. There's one thing I did have a question on. That's probably for, Doug. I'll go to a welding machine, 15,000 for service.
Yeah, they had a truck in there. I'm assuming that's what it was. It sat there forever.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and, in regards to our policy, I mean, it says 5,000, I know we talked about repairs, maybe not falling under that, but, this is for the claims.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think you mentioned it in the boardroom once.
I don't ever remember hearing it, this,
Maybe did it to me. I asked him about it. I know I did.
okay,
When I seen it sitting there for like 3 weeks.
This was done to what?
was on a truck.
Yeah, it was
On
on
one
the
of the
truck.
trucks.
They did some framework and changed some stuff on the snowplow.
Sure.
I just thought it was odd that it was a very specific amount.
Right. 10,000 on
On the dot.
It's 15,000 on that, yeah.
it. When he comes up, ask him.
Okay.
Okay, and there was, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what is the Iowa Homeland Security at the very bottom in the non-departmental for 61,000?
Chris's department.
Carissa?
No,
Homeland Security.
no, I asked Marge about that. It's a refund for FEMA work that did not get done, but we were paid for.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it's from stuff in 18, but I think it's
It
a
is.
lot of projects in your area that weren't completed, but
Well, we never did it.
yeah,
They prepaid FEMA work and we never did it, so we had to send it back to Homeland Security.
Okay.
It was on
We just didn't use the money or?
quite a bit of it.
okay, I know there was some on there, yeah.
Okay, we just didn't get the project, or we didn't start the projects
No,
to get them done, I guess, to use that money
I
or?
guess I went and asked, there was quite a bit, a few of the landowners that they wanted to go through with it because it wasn't gonna be totally funded and they didn't wanna go through with it.
Sure.
And it would have been something like Kyle did on that dredge on DD4 where they pulled the banks back.
Oh. Yeah. well,
And they had no interest in pulling the banks way
Sure,
back.
sure. So this was FEMA money that they gave us and we're now
We
refunding them this portion. Gotcha. I just didn't know what it meant by Homeland Security there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was unused money.
Okay.
On another piece of equipment for the secondary road department, unit 144, there was 8,400 in parts and 12,000 in labor. So,
Page are you on?
I don't know what page it was,
Oh.
I was throwing notes.
Okay.
I can find it here.
Don't have any idea.
For rentals?
No, I don't hear.
It's been on a main gator or something.
Okay. Well, that says new equipment. For 8,200.
That was in conservation.
Oh, you're talking in conservation?
No, I'm talking in engineer.
Okay.
It was under Ziegler, I believe.
Oh, page 24.
Yes, page 24, there was parts parts, supplies and repairs for 144, and then outside labor of 12. So we got another 20 grand in that piece of equipment. Do you know what that one was?
No.
We'll have to ask Doug when.
Okay. And then on the transfer station, there was, how did it have it written? 300,
There's
You
one.
can ask him.
yeah,
Go ahead, Carter, and ask Doug.
Morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Well, we had a question in regards to the, claims, on the claims. The Ziegler repair for $8,395, and then labor for $12,000. Just wondered what was done, or what.
Well, we had a loader, I don't know which particular machine right off the top of my head that is, but we've had to have a Ziegler, do a lot of maintenance work right now. We are running a mechanic.
Right.
We've been doing that for about 2 years now. And we did have a loader that needed some work, and we had a maintainer that needed some work. So that's, those two were,
One of those two.
yes.
Okay.
yeah, cause and it might be the other one you're talking about there was 8,400 in parts and 12,000 in labor on 144.
That'd be a maintainer, that would be the maintainer, so.
Do you know what happened with that, or do you remember?
We had a transmission and drivetrain that needed to be worked on.
Okay.
On that.
And then I had another, question, so we had, from Algona Welding Machine, there was a charge for 15,000 exactly.
Right, we have trucks, they have, their frame are dual channels, and pack rust is getting in between there, so we've had Algona Frame actually, repair those and put a new outside channel on there, and that's what that is for, on one of the trucks.
Okay, I just don't know how they got exactly to 15.
Well, they've done about 3 of those repairs for us, and they know what it takes, so that's what we agreed to.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome.
Do I have a question?
On the mileage that was submitted by Galen, I went through some of those meetings to verify, and there's at least one that was turned in for reimbursement and he was not at, so I guess should the whole claim be thrown out because it's not accurate, or what should we be doing with that? For reimbursement for mileage. I didn't check all of them, and it shouldn't be my responsibility to either, but
The $8.19, or hold on,
Times.
$98.28.
times all of them. I mean, there's total of 900. But I did not check all of them. It's for pretty much the entire calendar year of 22.
I can get that, if they're not there, so.
Well, minutes verify that. For the regular ones at least.
I have no recollection that he missed the meeting,
I wasn't here all last year, I mean, I made a lot of them, but I wasn't at every one either, so I don't know.
if you wanna disallow $8 and what?
I didn't check them all, but I know there's there's at least one that he would not add. I don't know about the rest.
Do you wanna disallow the whole claim, or what do you wanna do?
If it's not accurate, I think that's the only way it should be handled. Every one of mine that I turned in was questioned, but they were all accurate.
I would need a motion to disallow the claim in a second.
I would make a motion to disallow the claim for mileage from Galen Casey for inaccuracy.
Now I need a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Do a roll call vote, please.
Nah.
Pass, I need more information, I guess.
Wactor,
Yes.
Yes.
Stecker, Jerks,
No,
Nah, do you wanna?
go back to now.
Can we take a look at it, I guess, next week? And
We have to
Or
make
can
a
vote on it,
decision one way or another. We have,
Yes,
so we will disallow.
and if we could take a look at that next week.
Okay,
Do you want me to call?
you're gonna have to call Galen.
Can I ask you a question? Is that on all of them? On all the claims for him? Yes,
It would be all his.
oh, okay.
Motion carried, 3-1. Now we'll go back to the rest of the claims. Do I have a motion to approve the rest of the claims?
So moved.
Motion by Stecker, second by
I'll second.
Wactor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Rod, did you have something for public discussion?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, you're recording this
Correct.
meeting.
Yeah.
Why don't you, put some loudspeakers in so we can hear it at home? I didn't know nothing about it, you could hear it, but you have your volume turned way up on your computer and everything, and I thought it was something on my end, but it wasn't. Someone told me to go on Kyle's page and you can hear it just as plain. So it's in your IT department.
Well, the owls are out there so that you can hear the public.
Right, but you can't hear you guys, and if you're trying to hide something, go in the garage like the Dems do, please. The second thing is, on a claim that was talked about here a couple months ago with the power washer. That was an $11,000 claim.
Mhm.
5,000, how can it pass, an employee orders it, pass the department head, and pass you guys? And you guys regulate $5,000.
Well, we don't regulate everything in the engineer's budget.
But what's the punishment for spending over $5,000 on a night?
We don't regulate everything in the engineer's budget. There's things that go over $5,000 in this budget that we do not pass weekly.
But you said in your minutes, you approved it this year again. Motion by Casey, second by Loss, to approve the spending limit for any one item of $5,000 for elected officials and department heads.
Correct.
Prior authorization from the board of supervisors will be needed if the dollar amount is above 5,000. Motion carried unanimously.
Right.
So,
But if it's in the budget and it's been done in the budget, you don't okay everything that's done for
so
diesel
you
fuel.
budgeted a pressure washer when you did the budgets? That's what you're saying, right? It's in the budget.
That was my,
Everyone else has a budget too, but they still come for items over 5.
But let alone, it's not even hooked up, it's not even used. You bought it, paid for it November 1st. What happened to the old one?
I don't know, have to ask Doug.
You wanna speak about it, Doug? It's a quarter out of my pocket because I'm a taxpayer.
Does the board have questions?
No,
Doug, is it hooked up or is it in use right now?
We are waiting to go through the roof. We have a subcontractor that needs to go and vent it through the roof and then it'll be operating.
So on top of the $11,000 bill, you got that bill too. Let alone you have to have an LP line and LP tank. The old one that's a diesel fired.
Yeah, there was a new LP tank and stuff previously as well.
If it's a new tank, that's $4,000 probably. So you're probably talking at least $20,000 that you spent. That's just one item. How many other items that aren't budgeted that you say are?
Doug, what did happen with the old pressure washer? What was this replacing?
This will be, our old pressure washer is used a lot. And we were getting to the point where we needed one anyway, so we thought we would get it hooked up to LP so that we would have enough fuel to run it, instead of having to continue to put in a gallon of diesel at a time. It's just for our mechanics. They wash all the equipment prior to any mechanic work going on. So I approved of it, took care of it, and it will be operational and will be used. We have been rotating our pressure washers. We have pressure washers out there that are going on 30 years old. We have been replacing them.
What happens with the old ones?
We trade them in,
Trade them in?
yeah.
Did that happen on this case, or?
Not yet, we will, we're gonna rotate this to another shop, the one that was at the mechanic shop, one of the outlying shops.
Each shop have a pressure washer, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at diesel fuel, you don't use that a gallon. I got a pressure washer, it holds dang near 6 gallons. It's idea, you're spending over the, either you put a punishment in it or else throw the whole deal out. You're not following it. It's like me getting a traffic fine, charge it, I ain't gonna pay it, same difference.
With our policy on that, I guess, is there, for repairs is different than new purchases, correct? Or how does that worded, I guess, in our policy as far as that $5,000 limit, does that include, say, okay, we just approved $15,000 to Algona Welling for repairing, that is different than going and purchasing a new power washer? Is there a difference between those two in the language of the policy?
I don't believe so. I will try, I'm pulling up the minutes here to try and find the exact wording. Says, spending limit for any one item of $5,000 for elected officials and department heads. Prior authorization from the board will be needed if the dollar amount is above 5,000.
That's 5,000 for one item. I guess that 15,000, what you were asking, that's several items being serviced, Is that correct?
Again, I am the county engineer. You guys approve my budget. If every time we're supposed to spend $5,000, I am supposed to come to the Board of Supervisors, I would request that you meet every day and put on the agenda that we are going to approve a purchase. Otherwise, what's gonna happen, we'll have a breakdown this afternoon. If I am supposed to wait, that means next Tuesday, you will approve it, it will get fixed, it'll be out for 2 weeks. Please take that into consideration.
I'm taking that into consideration.
And also consider, the county engineer is in charge of the maintenance and construction of the roads and the road equipment. And I have responsibilities to do. If every purchase, there's ambiguity in that statement. I don't know what it means, I've asked. If every statement, if every $5,000 expenditure, sometimes if there's a mechanic, if I have to send a machine over to some repair shop, I don't know what all is gonna happen. Do you want me to get an estimate or do you want me to get it repaired?
No,
I've said enough.
What I'm saying is that $15,000 is several different things, that's not one item like that was saying. So I'm fine with the 15,000 because that's, you know, several items that are being taken care of. But the one item being that pressure washer was over 5,000, was that something that was planned?
If we would have a heating system go down in a shop, one item, and it would cost $7,000, what do you expect me to do? Do you want me to come to the board and ask if we need to replace a heating system?
No.
We have a pressure washer, we replaced it with a new system.
It ain't usable yet, it's 3 months out.
Rod,
Let alone you probably had to order it 2 months before, because I know they don't have them on hand.
Doug, I don't know if we have to have every single repair on the agenda to be approved, but I think when it gets to a point where the repair is substantial, we should be making a decision whether that money is better spent going into repairing old equipment or purchasing new, and I think that's a conversation that should be had in the boardroom. But besides that, if a piece of equipment is sent over to a shop and there is something that's an emergency that's needed, I don't know that anyone would have an issue with getting equipment repaired. Especially in emergency situations, that's not something we need a daily board meeting for. But knowing about it would also be advantageous before we see a $15,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 bill, so.
Or if it's at least possible, if there's, you know, a bill that's that large, you can kind of see it a little bit broken down of what all went into it to get to that 15,000. Does that make sense? I mean, is that fair? That we wanna see, you know, not just one line item that's 15,000 and then it just shows service repairs. You know, it would be nice to, you know, maybe see something attached possibly from the vendor that, you know, did the repairs of what all was completed. So we can kind of, you know, just look at that, make sure that it's fine, that, you know, it got to be that much.
Okay.
I don't know if the language itself is fair to Doug in itself, you know, as far as,
It's not very clear.
as far as, maybe that's something we need to look at, being that his department does operate differently with larger numbers than most of the other departments. Maybe that's something we need to look at and add that language there.
you wanna put something on the agenda for 2 weeks? Yeah, we'll get done with some of the other stuff first.
Yeah.
We're gonna readdress that and let's think about how that should be worded.
I know in some cases where situations like this come up within the service, they look at the policy, and then those that are in charge take a look and add an exception to that policy and identify what those exceptions or circumstances are in general terms that would warrant, such as what Doug was referring to. That might help the policy.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Dan.
We don't wanna stop the service to the public.
No,
For
no.
any purpose.
And Doug, like you were saying with like that heating thing, you said you had to go out and purchase a new one to replace it. I would look at that more as a repair, because something broke, you need to get it working again. If that requires purchasing a new item to get that working again, I personally, I don't know what you guys think, but I would consider that a repair.
We can discuss that in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's not an actual policy, so if you want
Okay.
an actual policy, you don't have to be written up, it's just something that's approved every year.
Well, maybe we
Okay.
should do that then.
We'll take a look at it.
We'll go back, we'll readdress it in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Monthly veterans. Dang.
Good morning. I was tracking lastly at about 1,115 records. I'm probably slightly more than that, trying to get an answer from my vendor on some of that, because that was one of the additions I was seeking out for my software program that they were gonna improve on, so. Had 45 calls and 56 messages. Did 24 VA healthcare enrollments into the C-Box in December. Had 27 walk-ins, 18 appointments. Currently looking at 37 claims that are open in the VA system. I've got 10 over in my office pending development, and I've got about 12 ready for decision, meaning VA just has to finalize the paperwork. Continuing to work with the PACT Act claims. That has been a great cause for increase in some of the other veteran groups that previously were not eligible to file for benefits, who now are, because they've expanded the territories. I'll be heading off to Des Moines this morning to meet with our state association president and executive board. We have the state association meeting today. I'll remain overnight in Des Moines, and then hopefully, weather permitting, I'll be able to go down to the legislative committee activities with veterans down at the state capitol. So I'm working on some of that. Hamilton County hired a new veteran service officer, so I'm working with our district president as to scheduling a training date to go meet the young man, and then do some initial core training with him on VSO subject matter. Continuing to work the quarterly report for you. I understand that'll probably be coming up in the next week or so, couple weeks, whatever. Got an increased claims with Thailand vets. That's one of the other areas that had picked up with the PACT Act, as well as Agent Orange. Working on burial claims and DIC claims. We had a number of veterans that passed away, unfortunately, so trying to get caught up on that as well. Some of the legislation that is being developed down at the state capitol that's veteran-centric, that hopefully I'll be able to get to meet with some folks on. There's a House File 37, which is this Disabled Veterans Homestead Tax Credit. That's being developed and looked at. There's a House File 20 that deals with Commissions of Veterans Affairs Training, so kind of want to see what that's all about. There's another House File 21. That's more particular toward the Commission of the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs and how they handle the funding with respect to that commission. There is House File 22, which is a bill that talks about the military service property tax exemption credit and provisions. If I understand that, currently the military tax exemption is unique insofar as veterans who are rated at 100%. What the legislative committee is trying to do is graduate other service-connected disabled veterans at other disability percentages to be included in that. The problem that you're gonna have with that is, one, you're gonna drive the assessors crazy, okay? But a veteran who might be rated at a certain disability may not stay that way for 6 months, 5 years, 10, it changes. It kind of depends, because some of the ratings of veterans are initial until they're finalized, so they're rated at one percentage until they determine the overall. Some may have been rated, say, 40% for 5 years, conditions worsened, they reapplied for an increase, they went from 40 to 80. So, not really sure how that's gonna go, but that's one of the things I kinda wanna take a look at. There's a Senate file out there, regarding Iowa Finance Authority for home ownership for eligible vets. A couple other Senate files, they're looking for a lifetime hunting and fishing license for certain disabled veterans. Senate File 59, a distinguished service medal registration for plates. I guess that's one they must have missed along the way. And then, Senate File 79, lifetime trapping license for disabled veterans. So there's some things out there I kinda wanna be updated on and see what, how well that's gonna go this legislative session. So that's kind of where we're at, other than continuing to work some claims and whatnot, subject to your questions, that's all I have.
I have a quick question. You were talking about the lifetime, hunting and fishing for vets. Isn't that already a thing?
I don't know how they're looking to expand that.
Okay. I was gonna say-
There is, I know that there is, hunting and fishing, exemption piece of that for disabled veterans, so I don't know how that ties in. Maybe they're just updating the overall bill to correct the language. I really don't know yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause that's already in place, cause they've got.
I took advantage of that.
Yep, I did
so.
too.
And, you know, other than maybe just getting a stamp here and there, it's kind of a nice feature to have, so. Any other questions?
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks, Dave.
thank you.
Liquor license for Bottom Up Club LLC.
Where is bottom of the cup?
Yeah,
It's at the, golf assembly or something.
Oh, okay.
This is the one that didn't go through last week?
Yeah, because the zoning wasn't correct, work with Doug, but it's correct now.
Okay. So I would move to approve the liquor license for Bottom of the Cup LLC. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Whacker? Any discussion?
Thank
Hearing none, do a roll call vote.
Matt,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
yes.
Jarvis.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah.
Doug, question, are you short someone on the zoning board or committee? Do you need somebody?
We have 3 members on the planning and zoning commission and 4 members on the board of adjustment.
Right,
CAS.
but I was asked, do you need another member, were you looking for another member of the zoning board or?
Both of those boards should have 5 members.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have someone that might be interested in being on he approached me and.
Well, it would be the board of supervisors' responsibilities to appoint that.
Right.
So, and
So-
there are, Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's some gender rules
Okay.
when the board of supervisors appoint board members, and I'm not sure
When it's
those
possible.
gender rules.
It's supposed to be equal as much as possible.
Okay.
Right now, we have 3 males on the planning and zoning commission, 3 males and 1 female on the, board of adjustment.
Sure. I had a male approach me about it.
Okay. Well, the other thing is, I'm sure there are exceptions that,
Since it's been
if
open for-
if you cannot meet
Yeah.
that,
Right.
the most important thing is to have the board and be able to get quorums, which with the planning and zoning commission is very difficult because we have to have all three there.
Right.
Can, you bring the name next week and
Yeah.
put it on the agenda?
Yep.
You'll
And
have
if
to
they
give-
would like, I
Yeah,
can
I'll-
certainly visit with them and let,
Yeah.
if they wanna have some questions about how.
I'll
the
call him
planning-
today.
You call him, have him talk to Doug, and if he
Yep.
agrees, then put his name on the agenda.
I can do that.
Everybody had a chance to look at the transfers?
Yeah.
Any questions on the transfers? Let the record show that we acknowledge the transfers. Next thing on the agenda is a right to use lease asset policy by resolution for GASB 87. Does everybody understand that?
Is this, I guess, is this basically just, our agreements with those leasing ground and anything else from?
Has to come before the board.
Sure.
That's really what it says.
There's just no major
And there's-
adjustments or anything to it, it's all pretty much the same.
It's something that the federal government put in 2 years ago.
This, a lot of this is for the auditing side of things,
Yeah,
right?
this is just a policy, this isn't an
okay.
agreement.
I suggest that you put it at $5,000 and we'll keep that. For any asset above $5,000.
Yeah.
We don't wanna
Does
go
it,
through
does
every
it have a
copy.
dollar amount?
No.
It does in the second copy that's in there. We should have two copies, one that's a sample from the state and the other one that has our name on the top of it with the dollar amount in it.
So, I suggest you put it at 5,000, that's what we got in there, because we're not gonna go through the auditor with every printer and copier that we have in the courthouse.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve it and at a $5,000.
I have a motion by Matt, second by Stecker. Any discussion on it? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Signature of engineers on it.
Yeah,
Oh, do we have to have a rep?
no, we don't, I asked.
Okay.
She said it's up to each county how they do it,
Okay.
but I can have it.
I think we just voted on by the board, we'll be in the minutes. I think that's fine.
Yeah, the minutes should cover it.
Yeah.
They'll be able to verify it.
Now, we are up to inclement weather policy, section 1.15 of the handbook. Any updates?
Is Donna coming over or do we need to call her?
You're gonna have to call
Section
her.
500.
Nick and Doug, and that's the reason
Hey,
they're
this
here.
is Kyle, we are up to
See
the, policy stuff on the agenda. Thanks, bye.
I think there was quite a bit of discussion at the department head meeting.
Yeah, there was. Do we need to call anyone else?
I don't know if we wanna call 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Doug had some pretty good
Yeah.
Yeah,
opinions on it, so.
Tammy, do you know his number off the top of your head?
It's 141.
That's right, I should. Hey Todd, it's Kyle, do you wanna come up for the policy on weather on the agenda? Okay, perfect, bye.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab my email.
Yep.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
I tried Karen, but she didn't answer.
She's not gonna be able to make it, she's,
Okay.
they're short staffed.
The weather's kind of shitty in the fall.
Hey, did you want
I'm
to
just
come in
clumsy.
for policy stuff? Yep, he just said that, I got
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good. It's in our.
I think everybody here that wants to be included, I'll tell my wife that.
Yeah.
Donna, as of now, we have nothing in the handbook about closing the courthouse.
Yeah, we do, section 1.15.
Right, but I mean for having the courthouse open and having people that can't make it because of roads getting paid, and then people that are working getting comp time. We,
This page in our packet, it is currently in the handbook.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it does say, because Kossuth County serves the citizens of the county, county offices will always remain open during normal business hours. However, in case of severe weather, the following may be followed. And it says if they're unable to get to work, they'll be allowed to charge vacation, comp time, or personal time if they have it, which we don't have personal time, so don't know where that came in. So
Well,
it does have stuff on
B is what happened,
right,
it.
on the 23rd.
But the date in question is the next day when,
right.
we made the decision that
Sure.
if they were unable to make it, that they would get paid for it, which, and then maybe it's just an interpretation issue. I think there's a difference between an employee deciding they
I
can't.
cannot hear a word you're saying.
I think there's a difference between an employee deciding they can get to work or not, and the department head saying, if you can't make it to work. And I don't know, maybe that's just an interpretation issue. So I think that's basically what happened that Friday was, I had called Roger and Roger had said, you know, if they can make it, fine, if they can't, they'll still get paid for the day. So we weren't leaving it up necessarily up to the employee. The employee wasn't making that decision necessarily. But I don't know, Todd, you probably understand this much better.
Yeah, I mean, it was a situation which came up that from the directive from the board or the board chair that, you know, if the employees can't get there, don't, and those that can, come. Instead of the employee making that decision. And I think that's, to me, a critical difference.
And that's
In my
what I
opinion.
said too.
Which doesn't fit within that paragraph that you read.
Right, so we'd have to add another inclement weather directive to our policy.
I mean, what was the alternative?
Close courthouse.
Well, that, or in that situation where, you know, you could say, well, if you can make it, you get paid, those that can't make it, don't get paid. That's the option you have,
But
or what you do.
they have the option to take vacation or comp time as well. That's the first paragraph under the policy.
Sure. But that, not under this situation. That's if they make that decision on their own, right?
Well, yeah, that's what's in the policy.
Yeah, it's still under A. If an employee is unable to get to work, they will be allowed to charge such an absence to vacation, comp time, or personal time, provided that they have the time accumulated. So if they're not able to make it and they have that time there, they can charge it to that to get paid for that day. If they don't have that time there, then they would just basically take it as an unpaid day off.
Correct, under situations where they make that decision. The decision was that they'll get paid, whether they can make it or not. That's what the decision was.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
They predicted 80-mile-an-hour winds and snow and whiteouts, and we have people that drive too far to come in. We do. There's a safety issue here.
Well, we have a
I
large
think.
county.
Yeah, I think there's a safety issue that precedes some of the things that we have in the handbooks.
Well, and the reason we have two items here is, when I was in last week, Melissa had asked me about the language of how Don had it written up, and I didn't know if that was specific enough for the day in question, and I thought it was the 23rd. Because the 24th is a Saturday.
What was it?
22nd, Thursday and Friday, wasn't it? 22nd.
21st.
21st and
21st was closed.
Yeah.
And 22nd was the,
The
right,
Sunday.
day.
They close at 11 o'clock.
The 22nd was the day in question, correct?
The 22nd, we close at 11.
Okay.
Okay, so it should have been the 22nd then. But when we were talking about it last week, Jack's point was that by.
Oh, Kyle, that's 2023.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
No, I'm
were,
looking
No, he's looking
No,
at
I'm
the
looking at the
December
bill
down
file.
there.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
Cause the 24th would have been Saturday,
Yep.
This would have been Friday,
so it would be the 23rd.
Yep, you're right.
yeah,
You're right.
23rd.
Okay,
because we closed it on Thursday.
Yep.
yeah, so the 23rd is the right date then.
Yeah.
But Jack's point, which he said he would say it then because he wasn't gonna be here on vacation and stuff, but his point was employees should not be getting double compensated for that. If they were in here working and getting paid, they shouldn't also be getting comp time. And I don't know how that applies with labor laws or anything that way, that's not in my wheelhouse, but he was very concerned about that.
I can't answer that. I mean, and I'm not, I don't know that the circumstances come up.
I don't remember that we had a voluntary, if you can make it, come into work, and if you're a long ways away, don't come in, that we've ever done that before, that I've been around.
Well, and maybe to that point, it's not really an option in our policy, so I don't know why that was decided.
Because we sent people home the day before, and I was worried that they weren't gonna make it home. That was part of it, is why we made that decision, because they left in a strong wind,
No, the day before we were.
or we canceled it.
That was close.
That's right. But there's some people we sent home at 11 o'clock, right? That I remember.
The first day, the courthouse was closed, and we knew that. We
Yeah,
got
the
a
second
call.
day,
Second day, it was closed at 11.
right, we sent them home at 11.
Yeah. And closed the courthouse
Yeah.
and other county buildings.
And some of them stayed and worked, or didn't they?
Not in my office.
Okay.
employee can't make them come into work, can they? In a weather situation like that, you cannot say you're here.
No, they're not forced to come in, but
Right,
they would have to take
So
time.
if they don't show for work, why would they wanna get paid?
I've always left it in my office, I'm not gonna make that decision for the employee.
That's right.
If they feel they should go home, they go home when they need to, but they're more than willing to take vacation time for it. It's, you know, people when we hire them, or when they come from a distance, they realize they may not be able to make some of those days, so,
See, the unfortunate thing is we're blurring the issues here.
yeah.
I mean, you're not even talking apples to apples, you're talking apples to oranges. You know, had that directive been that if you can't make it, you'll take vacation or personal time,
Correct.
then that's a different story. Now you're talking about the language of the handbook. But when it's, if you'll still get paid if you can't come, put yourself in the shoes of the person who's there working. Alright? Any one of you, would you be happy? Others are getting paid the same amount that you are, but you're actually there doing work.
But here's
That's
the
my
thing, those people that are staying home because of the weather, they're taking that out of their vacation time.
No, they're
point.
not.
Again, you see, you're blurring.
No.
No, they
You're blurring
did
it.
not.
Told they were not.
This
Oh,
was
so
a
this
one,
instance
this
they
is a
were
one
not.
situation that I don't think I've ever been, in 21
Yeah.
years that I've been doing
Okay.
this here, has ever come up.
Right.
You have that, which, that was the directive that we all operated under, so I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of fairness. You know, and everybody wants to blur, well, this is what the handbook, it was not covered by the handbook. So you have employees who are here that can make it safely, employees who couldn't, but the decision was already made that they were gonna get paid whether they came or not. So that's why when I was talking at the department head meeting, that, well, those that were in town that came should not be in any way disadvantaged, because they could make it safely because they live in Algona, but yet they were working. And the ones who weren't were still getting paid. So that was the whole idea of it. And like I said, in 21 years, I think this is the only time that's ever, it's either closed or it's not.
Right.
And I think we've closed it maybe a handful of times at most. So, you know, maybe the policy, looking at it from the standpoint, is either the courthouse is closed or it's not. You know, I don't know, you know, and then everything else is a discretionary call. Then I'm fine with that. The handbook covers it perfectly. We don't have to make a new policy for it. But it was just this limited situation that causes a different, different way to approach it, in my opinion. And, you know, I'll abide by what you come up with, but that's the way I see it.
Can I make a statement?
No, you're not involved in this right now.
Okay, I just wanna say, when the wife goes to work, it's her call too. I say stay home, she takes vacation pay, or you don't get paid.
And that's the way our policy is. And I think that's fair. I mean, I don't see any need to change it, but.
Well, and that's one of the reasons to have it on the agenda today is we need to make a decision so everyone's doing the same thing, no matter what that is. Everyone should be treated fairly across the courthouse system, but then you also have secondary roads department that worked during the storm and they have a separate agreement, so some of that is in there as well, but the situation requires some sort of decision in that regard.
There's no black and white when it comes to weather, is my problem.
Yeah, and I'm okay with whatever. I'm just looking at it to explain the situation that was presented to me in my office. It was not per the handbook, because, you know, those that couldn't make it were already told they were gonna get paid.
And that's not following the handbook, so I think the gist of this is that we need to make sure that the handbook is followed.
So
I don't disagree with that.
So we're gonna close the courthouse off there
I-
then? My point is, it's nice to have it open for somebody in Elm.
No, cause
Well,
it goes
I-
back to,
I-
it goes
I
back
don't
to
think-
A, if an employee is unable to get to work, they have the option to stay home and take that vacation or comp time.
And I think at the very beginning, it says, the first two sentences is, Kossuth County serves the citizens of the county, the offices will remain open during normal business hours, except severe cases. And we can talk about whether it was severe or not, but there's always gonna be people that question it. You look at schools deciding to close or stay open. They're criticized both directions, it is what it is, but I think our policy lays out a framework for prioritizing staying open, and I would suggest keeping it that way. There is options under there if you do make that personal decision that you don't wanna go to work. I know employees here have.
So you're recommending no changes to the handbook?
No changes, it be followed more closely than.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm a little fuzzy on the getting paid double time. I mean, as far as, so if I was an employee, lived in Algona, I came in, but the guy from Ledyard didn't, then was I getting paid, I guess, to come in as well as
The comp.
As
the
well as
statement
comp
that I would get comp time for that?
The statement about comp time was not
Not
included when everyone was informed, right?
Not in the text that went out.
It was just that they were guaranteed to get paid either way. So the comp time was a piece of the discussion from the department head meeting, and there's variations on how different department heads were treating that situation, so that's why it came here, so we need to, and my interpretation is we need to make a decision so that everyone is treated equally that way. Because currently, right now, they may not be in the same situation.
Well, let me ask you, in secondary roads on vacation, if it's a holiday, and they have to go out on a holiday because of weather, do they get paid time and a half?
And their standard holiday pay, yes,
So they get both?
correct.
Okay. So if they're working when no one else is working, they're getting paid?
And that's part of their contract.
So
That's
they're
fair
getting paid,
labor
they're getting
standards.
paid, yeah, they're getting paid extra for those times.
As it should be, I mean, that's.
No, I'm not denying that at all. I mean, I'm just trying to kind of put something into context, because this is just a strange
Yep.
situation in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is that the handbook just needs to be followed and should not just be left open for interpretation by the department heads. It's the handbook, it's there for everybody, and it should be followed that way.
You
So-
lost me on that. Are you saying I didn't follow the handbook?
I'm not sure of the entire situation because I wasn't on board at the time. I'm just
Right.
saying, going forward, that it should follow the handbook. It lays it out pretty clearly, that if the weather is too bad and someone doesn't feel safe driving into work, they would stay home. They have the option to take vacation or comp time. If it's bad enough to the point where we don't want anybody trying to come in, we close it and then everybody gets paid. There's no in between.
That's fine with me as long as that's the way it is going forward, because that's not the way it was on the 23rd.
And that's where I think we need to separate out the individual situation, which we should make a decision on so that Melissa knows how to do payroll here today. And the overall policy, so I think, I'm not hearing any changes from the board on the policy side.
No.
So if we go to the next one, the actual situation, I guess we need to need to have a decision one way or another on whether they're getting comp time or not, in addition to being paid.
Well, we sent everybody home at 11 o'clock.
So it would just be,
Close the
it would
courthouse.
just be the first 3 hours in
Right.
question.
Cause it got bad.
I would say paid because they were told that they were gonna get paid for that and we can't just turn around and take that money away from them.
Well, you wouldn't be taking anything away.
We closed the
We
courthouse
would-
in the end.
Yeah,
They were all told they were getting paid, so they'll get paid either way. But the comp time would be additional on top of what they were told, potentially. So that's the decision to make.
So your decision is not to pay the comp time, is what you're telling me.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm saying that's what we need to make a decision about,
is whether or
so
not.
that everyone is treated fairly.
Okay.
But either pay everyone.
Everyone's
As if the courthouse was closed.
Everyone's getting paid, period.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the 3 hours in the morning, whether they get comp time for those that showed up.
Right.
Just the additional. And I don't disagree with what you said, Todd, as far as they were working, others were not and still getting paid. It was definitely a situation that was not covered by the handbook. So I don't disagree with your perspective on that. That's the decision we need to make so that Melissa can do payroll.
Todd, do you remember, I don't know, do you remember ever that we closed the courthouse at 11 o'clock and sent everybody home?
Oh, yeah, we've done
We've
that.
done that many times.
We've done that, when weather comes up in the middle, but, you know, then everybody goes home. I don't think that we've ever had, if memory serves me correctly, I'll be, you know, because I don't know, you know, it's been a long time, but I don't think we've ever had a situation where that directive has come down. It's either closed or it isn't. You know, but like I said, you know, we rarely closed it, you know, maybe a half dozen times, I don't know, but.
Correct.
Do we know how many employees were here? Like head count? Who
I
was
just
here
had
that
one.
I had two.
Did one.
I think I had 6 here. 5, I had 5.
But then again, me as the department head, do I earn comp time? I don't normally earn comp time, so.
You can't, as a department,
No.
you're exempt.
You just
Yeah.
Welcome to the world.
So, our only decision on this then is to decide whether it's legal to pay comp time for 3 hours.
Yep.
That's my.
And I mean, we don't know if it's legal or if there's any issues that way. Cause I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you can
I can't answer that.
disallow the comp time if you want to.
I know we can do that, but can we legally allow it?
I don't know that, so if you disallow it, then you won't have that question.
I don't like doing that because like I said, I agree with Todd's point, the people that were here working were already told they were gonna get paid and they still showed up, so they should be compensated in some form for their efforts and the work they did perform above and beyond those that stayed home, but I don't know if it's legal either.
Well, somebody has to make a decision.
At the same time, that was also that employee's decision to come in from wherever they are. I mean,
True.
you, like Judy said, I mean, if I was driving from north of Lakota to come to work, I already have that understanding that I'm working in Algona and I have that risk because I have a longer drive versus, you know, someone here in town just driving down the street, but I don't know.
What's your preference?
Have to make a decision one way or the other.
I know Jack was very against paying comp time last week.
goal is just to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Right, but we also
And-
need
and
to
that we
cover
have
ourselves for, you know,
So,
Yeah, and my biggest thing would be making sure everyone's treated fair across the courthouse and stuff as this situation is handled, because if one department head gives comp time and the other doesn't, then you have employees that did the same thing and don't get treated the same. So that's my biggest concern right now, and the way that affects payroll is why we have to have a decision today. So I guess I would make motion to pay the comp time for the 3 hours in the morning for those that showed up. But also, I don't know if it should be in the minutes or not, but the understanding that this probably won't be repeated again.
I don't know that you can put that in minutes, and you have to go back to the handbook.
Yeah, I think that would be.
So you just have to pay the contract or not, seeing more.
Yeah, I just, for point of discussion, again, that's my feelings. But I would say we should pay it to be fair to everyone. So then, if this would, whatever the decision is made is final, everyone should review their time cards or whatever for employees and adjust accordingly before it's paid today.
Do I have a second to Kyle's motion?
I'll make that second.
I have a second by Wactor. Any more discussion before we put this to bed? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
One opposed. Motion carried, 3-1. Thank you.
Nobody wants changes to the handbook, right?
No, there's no changes to
there's no
the handbook.
changes.
So that,
Just had no
no
decision.
action was
I
taken.
just couldn't.
What's your pleasure? You wanna let Doug get done before we take a break? Out there,
yeah,
buddy?
let's do that.
Okay. Doug, we're up to construction in the right of way.
Yes, good morning. There were no requests for construction of the road right away this week.
Anything on zoning?
The Board of Adjustment met yesterday afternoon and we did take care of, the special use permit, one special use permit. We will be doing some work with the zoning commission as far as the ordinance, work on that. I need to visit, with one of the members and get a time that all three of them will be able to meet. Am scheduled to do that on January 30 is when I'm gonna talk with all of the commission members to verify that we can have a meeting and we'll get it advertised and probably have that in February.
The zoning meeting will be in February, the open hearing.
That would be a hearing, yes, that would be in February, and then shortly after, they need to make a decision on sending, their recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and then the Board of Supervisors take it from there.
Sounds good.
Being we're on that subject, did anybody else have a chance to read all the Iowa Utilities Board discussion?
Yeah, I kinda, there's a lot there, so.
I read most of it and I came to this conclusion that actually the federal government has a say on the safety of the pipeline and not the state, and the only power the state have would be to have a moratorium on it for a year, like California.
And that goes to one of my points with the ordinance and stuff. If we try and regulate that, the upper levels of government already have regulations in place, whether it's state or federal, and more of it could probably be on the federal side, but we can't over-regulate upper levels of government. Unless they allow us to. Like the ATV stuff with the state, they say we can go above and beyond in certain things, but it's limited.
So at some point, I think we should have a conversation with Mr. Whipple on whether we are going to fight something that's impossible to win, because it's a federal regulation that approves the safety of the public, not the state.
And I believe if the federal, and I could be wrong here, but I believe if the federal safety standards are changed, they have to conform to them, even for existing lines. Whether there be section that needs to be moved or upgraded or more valves put in place or whatever, I believe they have to conform to the current stuff, even if the rules change after they're in place. Cause I know I heard that comment from people that they're just trying to get in before the new rules are out, and I think that's immaterial for the discussion. Doug?
Mr. Whipple's gonna agree with those statements, but you still have, I think the argument is that counties still have the duty, if they have zoning, to protect and with setbacks and land use, and they have the right to do that. I think you bring up a very valid and good point. One thing Mr. Whipple told me is as soon as this ordinance, if it would pass, it's gonna go to federal court. That's where Summit is going with the counties that have ordinances. And to be honest with you, that's a little concerning. If you're gonna create an ordinance and all you're gonna do is go to court, that means you're gonna spend a lot of money.
Right.
And it's gonna add up fast.
And so, I'm not saying what should be done, what should not be done, but it is the land use and the public safety that they're taking care of with the planning and zoning.
I think we still have decisions to make on this.
I would agree
You
with
do,
that.
but a valid question might be, would it be better to wait until after? I think Story County, Shelby County, I'm not so sure Butler, there's been a few counties that are in federal court right now.
Well,
Would it be better off for Kossuth County to see how those turn out, or whether you should be part of it so that if it is valid, it'll be valid right away?
But wouldn't, if it was valid, it'd be valid for the whole state, wouldn't it be?
No.
You're asking, those are legal questions, I don't know. I mean, if all of a sudden.
County ordinances, I don't believe so.
I don't know, Roger,
It
that
would be-
certainly
it would
is
be
a
like
question that could be asked.
Like the ATV ordinance where people complain they cross county lines and have a different set of rules and all that, I think the pipelines would complain of the same thing, but that's immaterial as well. But I think they would have, if those ordinances were valid whatever counties they were passed in, I would imagine they would have to abide by those set of rules in those locations, but everyone else that doesn't have those rules would not. It wouldn't apply to them because they're not on the books. So I don't think it would apply statewide.
Don't, how can we have safety in one place and another?
Yeah. No easy answer.
Right.
It's all up to the utilities board at the present time. If they make a decision, then we'll know more.
Yeah.
Anything else, Doug?
With the road department, the Irvington Bridge, we did not get in there to do any work. The contractor's still doing work. And after they are finished, then we will be able to go in and do our work. So I hope that this week they get some more work done and we can get in there. Of course, with the forecast, that's gonna be difficult. We still have a mechanic position open, and I'm going to start advertising again, trying to get some interest in that.
Is that in the Titanca?
No, this is the mechanic shop. We have a mechanic shop. I will be putting advertisements in papers, the Algona Reminder, which gets to every mailbox in the county. We put it on the radio, and we also put it on Iowa Workforce Development.
You put it on Indeed?
Pardon me?
Indeed.
We do not use any kind of services like that, no. Cylinder farm, the cylinder pit, we are advertising for that lease. The gentleman who had the lease is no longer interested in farming it. We have that in the Reminder this week, and the 3 newspapers that are official, and I can't remember what it's called in Palo Alto County, but Palo Alto County has some sort of a reminder. This farm is in Palo Alto County, so we're advertising it there as well. Collective bargaining, we have that on June 25 at 1 o'clock. And I don't know if Renee gave it.
I was gonna say, did you say June?
I'm sorry, it's January.
We came June.
No, sorry.
That's okay.
But here is what Renee emailed to me as far as a initial bargaining.
Thanks, Doug.
I believe you have received
Right, we have received the offer.
from the road department. So if everyone is comfortable with this, Renee will present that to the secondary road bargaining unit on January 25.
It's a Wednesday.
That is a Wednesday at 1 o'clock, yes. Road condition, we did have a couple of places where some water actually went over some gravel roads. They couldn't, ditches were full, cross pipes were blocked. We had to go out and open up a couple of places. No damage or anything like that. That was, everything was froze up, fortunately. However, gravel roads yesterday, the top of them did, get a little bit loose. So we are in the process, you gotta just let Mother Nature take its course. We got snow, we'll have snow here and everything. Members of the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment, yeah, if you guys have people there, if you please would let me know about it. Health insurance, we should be getting our rates soon, so K-Ren will be coming up to visit about proposed rates. One thing that we need to talk about is the stop loss for $35,000. There are a lot more individuals that are covered by our health insurance that cost $35,000. So when we pay them for that, they're taking that into consideration what that projection is, and we need to really look to see whether we want to take some of that risk by raising that stop loss. So we will be talking about that as well. And then Kossuth Waste Management Association, I'll be getting a meeting put together for that. Do you know who the board's representatives on Kossuth Waste Management Association are, or did you appoint those?
Yeah, we did, but.
Hang up with me.
Was that on the first meeting of
Yeah.
January? I will review that as well.
From that
I will look at that and get it taken care of, just to make sure when I make an invite that everyone is,
Tammy, have you let the other committees know for the updates and stuff, or anything, especially for the new members?
No, I didn't know. Just the ones that asked.
Okay. Probably should get something sent out to all of them, cause I've been asked by a couple and I've answered those questions, but some of the other ones that they haven't asked yet, they might not be getting, information yet from those committees they're on, potentially.
Yeah, I have not gotten anything on those.
Is there a waste management meeting coming up? Is there any-
I am getting it ready, Carter, yeah, that's what I'll be doing, and,
I'm not representative for here, I'm just for the city.
yeah. Are you the representative for the city?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, what I do is city clerks, I communicate with them.
Yep.
And just go directly with our own board members. Yeah, that was, CP Patterson was the representative, yeah. Other than that, I don't have any I guess I'm going on vacation tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. I don't think that I'm gonna have any internet, but, I'll be putting a email reply, automatic reply on that, but I will have my cell phone.
Kossuth Waste Management Association delegate is Jack Black, and alternative is Josh.
Okay.
Jack's out for the next few weeks, so if that comes up.
Oh, it's going to be, it'll be a few weeks, cause I have to put notice out, public notice, get an agenda. Gotta make sure that I don't conflict with any council meetings or emergency management meetings and that kind of thing, so I gotta get a date but it'll be 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, maybe even shorter, cause we got 2 engineers here waiting for us.
They waited a long time.
Right?
I'm good at waiting. Do you think for the report filing, projection would be helpful, or, I mean, I can set up